I actually had to go get my 90-degree deal just to take these back 3 screws out. And I'm not going to worry about getting all the ones around the edge because it's enough that I can just pick this right up. Didn't think I could do it one-handed. So, there's that. Now we got us a piece of 1-inch PVC that's probably gonna work great. Yeah, I didn't think I could do it without bending too bad, but we're just gonna bend a little bit on it. That's probably gonna be too much. Let's see here. Won't be enough, I don't guess, to do it like that, I don't guess. Not enough like that. It ain't gonna be enough room, I don't think, but it might be. I might be able to twist it up and get it out that way. So, you know, these, you gotta take these screws out around and just get that done. Won't need the 90-degree deal on that. All these has a pattern you have. When you go to put this motor back in, you have to, well, drop that one down there, but that'd be fine because we'll get it. It's not gone forever. All right, now. Must be a fresh zip tie because usually I can do that on some of these units and they'll just break right off like that. Now, let's try to get that thing out. I hope we can. That motor ain't near as high as it was earlier. Pick it up. Get it. There we go. All right. On these, that's how the motor comes out. Looks like that blower was a little dirty, so it's just a little dirty. There's some water around here. Might just try to spray them off. See how real over there on the other end of the house, so I'll take the wheel off and we'll get that took care of. But all I'll need is my drill and maybe my 90-degree deal, because I think I'll have to have it to put our belly band on, because this one's got the brackets made to the motor. This third horse. Let's get this took around and looked at. All right, so well, before we take his wheel off, because I know some of y'all are probably wondering how you line the wheel back up if you ain't never done one of these. I mean, you can take a tape measure and measure from the bottom to the bottom of the wheel, or I guess the bottom of this, or the top of the wheel. I guess it matters how you do. I'm just gonna take my finger like that, and about where this first crease in my finger is, my pointer finger, is just right above that. So we're not gonna get precise with it, but that's enough to tell me that that's all it's gonna need. So let's just take this wheel off right quick. That should pull it right off. you can't barely turn that, so that's gonna be bad bearings in a blower motor. So let's just carry this over here and we'll just rinse it off right quick and just get all the crud off of it. All right, so actually I don't know what would be the best way to get this footage, but you got to turn this motor to where it matches the pattern that is set. Because it has a certain pattern that it will follow. Looks like it's going to be just like that right there. One thing you can do is take your hand on the bottom and just kind of feel the bottom of the wheel, make sure you're okay there and you're okay at the top. And you're good. Of course, spin it too, make sure you're okay that way. So let's get our screws started in it. Ground wire in, not that it matters because I ripped the one off the condenser off. A few more screws if I'd find them. I don't know where they're at, so we're just gonna rob some screws. Probably the ones I took out of the back. All right, there's that. So now let's take these wires. if y'all noticed this or not. Some of you may already be following me on this, but the previous motor was a 2-speed. This new motor's a 3-speed. Also, it had a yellow for its capacitor wire. Let's see here. Let's try to separate our wires a little bit better. Try to at least poke them through and not have them be all wrapped up and discombobulated. This makes it easier to poke through, and that way everything's not twisted around and just trying to there we go. So browns are poked through. Now let's poke our red and black through. Okay. There we go. Now, that's poked through nice. Neat. Ground wire's in a good place. Now, while we're here, let's see here. This appears that this will blow in a clockwise position as well. So we're actually going to swap our leads because they come from the factory counterclockwise. And in case you're wondering, yes, we are going to swap. Or we're going to tie these, even though I don't believe they would hurt anything. We are still going to do it because don't want to have to come back all the way back out here just because somebody decided they didn't want to spare one zip tie, or that they couldn't spare one zip tie. And the extra, well, I was about to say 5 seconds, but it's took me longer than 5 seconds just to hook this up. If I could just see, there we go. Now, our wires are not going to be in the way of nothing. They're not going to bother nothing. They're not even going to bother me. So, I'll cut this one off short. All right. So there's our blower motor. She's in there, and I'm good with that. So now let's go put this up, and we'll get all of our screws back in, and we'll worry about wiring everything back up. Take these, we're gonna poke all these back through our little bitty ring right here. All right, so now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cap off our red and black because this unit's only made for this little bar that's right here where your speeds hook up to. Right now you just got one leg, the second leg hooked up. So we're gonna hook up medium speed for, because I think medium speed is the best. So we're gonna cap off, and I actually forgot to bring another wire nut with me. Yeah, I forgot to bring another wire nut. So what we can do is just get those out the way and get those out the way, and we're gonna hook back to because our yellow is our common, or your L2. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's this yellow is the same thing as this brown and white stripe. But anyway, we've actually got some of these. Let's get the piggyback on them, and I don't want to use those all the time, but I mean that's the best thing sometimes, because then you can kind of double up on wires and other things. So, but these are my favorite crimpers that they make nice crimps. Cut that back just a little bit. That way we don't have a whole lot sticking out the end of the wire nut, or the end of the terminal, I mean. Because people do that, they'll cut off a whole, like that much, and they'll stick it all through there and say, oh yeah, that's fine. I don't like that. I don't think it looks as neat. So these two will be the last two things we hook up, and I need to go get me a wire nut for that black wire. But now comes time to hook our capacitors up. So we got us a 5 here. Let's see, we are going to go ahead and hook this up because it's going to be in a awkward spot to try to hook it up. We can try to do like that right there. I guess actually that's gonna be kind of tough to do because that bracket's not made for that. So I may go get me a long screw to put down to hold that one in place. But these good American-made capacitors is just what I like. I haven't had any trouble out of these Mars yet, so of course the USA made. I know that back in the day that actually used to mean something, but it seemed like nowadays you can't hardly tell. Alright, so our brown wire now goes back to here instead of having a separate capacitor. There's our other red wire. Here it is. And then here's our hermetic, whatever it is Ted Cook says. Of course, that's not near as big as that one, so I might go get me a long screw to put in there. So let me go do that. All right, so now we will wire nut that one. And actually, we will not, because that one broke off. So snip the end of that, and you won't never get that little wire out of the end of that. So I'm glad I brought me an extra. It's not that thing I hate about that crappy wire that they put sometimes in these motors. That aluminum wire. I don't know if it's just the wire itself isn't any good, or if it's just that it gets twisted around so many times that it just finally breaks. I don't know. I know it's a pain to have to. I mean, I go through a lot of wire nuts just because of wire that breaks. So. Okay, now that's there, so we'll just get it going. All right, that one's in there, and because that's still a little bit loose, I don't know if I do it with these needle nose or not. There we go. There's nothing wrong with this, because you can always shape that back to be whatever you need it to be. So there you go. There's both those in there, and probably just to make it easy on somebody if they ever was to want to check this one, we'll write 5 on the side. That way you ain't got to do a lot of take. You ain't got to take it off just to check it. So there's that. Now we're gonna hook our 2 speeds up. Yellow right there. And we're gonna hook blue up. I like slow, but I like that on a gas furnace. And that's probably what they actually need to have hooked up, is the low speed. We're just gonna hook medium up though, because I don't want that thing to be trying to run low speed in the summertime. Because you can kind of get into it over that, running on low speed. And if it got just a little bit of a dirty filter, if it don't, something happens and it don't move air like it should, then they'll be blaming you. Well, homeowner might not blame you. You might blame you. Actually, I ain't gonna lie, homeowners will blame you every time. They think just because you put your hands on it, then it's something you done to make it not work. And some people just don't understand that things happen. That's like my wires to stay, at least like that, they can stay kind of neat and out of the way, and I ain't got to worry about them flopping out and looking like a rat nest every time I come here, which is what I sometimes see a lot of. So there's that. That'll be garbage. So before we fire it back off, let's go get that can out of the truck and throw our garbage away. That looks a lot better after I took my bench brush to it and wiped it off good. So let's put our disconnects back in. I don't know what kind of thermostat they've got, but let's just hope it's not digital. Let's hope as soon as I put this back in, she comes back on. Let's hope. Wasn't, so here it's gonna have a little bit of a delay because of it being digital or something. So let's see here. We want this one, and I want the green, because that green will bring on the condenser as well. Now, ain't that special? There's another one I've had to do today because of it. Well, it's not wanting to come off. That should be doing everything it can do to try to come off. Must be some good insulation. Ultra tough. There. We'll put that one back on here in a minute. Huh. Well, some of these are different. That's holding it up by itself, so we definitely have the correct rotation. I'm not putting them things back on because they don't look like they do too much weed eating around here anyway, so leave that like it was. Not just for the sake of doing it. Check our blower amps, and then we'll cut the, I know I'm probably freezing this lady to death too. .7. Be right at it. Alright, so now we actually do have to get this one out. Of course, this has got a relay delay on it to keep the blower energized for so many seconds. That was the easiest starting compressor I've ever heard in my life. Must be from a new capacitor. And man, that air feels cold. So let's let this run a few minutes. Let's gather everything up. We'll hook our gauges up just to make sure everything's okay, and I have a great feeling that it will. Alright, so I'm gonna use my little job links since I don't feel like this is gonna be an issue. .9/16 wrench fits these little flare caps perfect. Just don't overdo them. Alright, let me screen record that. Alright, so Trane service facts are, I love them when people leave them in the panels, and that look, and as tight as this plastic is right here, it felt like they had never been took out. But a lot of neat little things you find in here, kind of like like your pressure curves, for example. A lot of units has pressure curves in them, but Tranes are about the only ones I've ever seen that actually make sense and that are right. So we'll just get our little poker out and I'm going to show y'all. So that's cooling, we're on heating. On the suction side, I'll hold this in a good enough way. You find your outdoor temperature and your suction pressure. The lines in here, that's your indoor entering dry bulb. Well, suction pressure don't matter really because it's all the same. So it's 35 degrees, so we're gonna go up. You've seen what our pressure was. So we're gonna go up. What is that about, roughly? That's gonna be dead on accurate. Then we're gonna do the same thing with our head pressure. I don't know what it is inside. I'm sure it's close to 70 though, because that's right where our pressure was. It's right at 150 and right above it. So that's going to be right on. I'm glad to see that. A lot of good information though in these. I mean, this actually has the refrigeration circuit as a diagram. I mean, y'all know how nice that is just to be able to follow that. I mean, I know, but you have your indoor fan performance, static pressure, wiring diagram, defrost system. I mean, that's pretty nice. They also come with the functional parts list. That way, if you want to order that exact one, you have the part number to go off of. So this lady's going to be in good shape. I'm glad she is. We're going to pack up and we're going to go to the next one. Thanks for watching.